Hey, one and all, it's your pal Drew Dracy, back with another episode. This caught my eye on my bookshelf, and I thought, I haven't looked at it in a long time. This was printed as omnibus. It was printed in 2008, and it's got all the original issues of Hulk, and it's got all the Tales to Astonish, and it leads into the first issue of his own book. So this is, it came out in 2008, and the pages are really thick. For a long time, they used really thick pages on Marvel Masterworks and then the Omnis, but since then, they've had, thinner paper, and a lot of people have griped about it, and I totally get that. But, however, I'm an old man. Lugging something like this, I'd rather have thinner paper, but that's just me. So, I got this a while back. I love that panel. It sort of looks like the Hulk's legs are too short or something, but that's okay. It's a brilliant, wonderful image. I have the coverless copy of number 4 that I paid $20 for. And here we go with the Coming of the Hulk. I had seen this first in Origins of Marvel Comics 1975. And for whatever reason, they changed him to green. He wouldn't be green to issue 2, but I don't know. I guess a book publisher thought, well, we'll keep him on model. I've mentioned this in the past. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful coloring. And, but the book, this is the best one, inked by Ditko, because the Hulk has these really scary eyes. And later on, Jim Starlin did that with the Hulk. So, we're going to get past all this stuff. It's great, great, great. So, what I'm going to showcase is the post-Hulk era, where he gets another series. And here is Steve Ditko. And he's got the eyes down as the Metal Master. And it's exciting. It's really exciting. And it's so odd, because, aside from inking a handful of Kirby books, their styles are considerably different, but they're both exceptional storytellers. Kirby was more like fists in your face, like perspective, and Ditko was more mid-range, but then he would zoom in here and there, and his Hulk was really great. But this was the last issue. The main problem is in 6 issues, Stan and Jack and Steve, they didn't know where to go with it. Almost every issue had a different personality of the Hulk, had different type of story, and they couldn't figure it out. So it, as a result, it failed. The reason the Hulk was actually created was in 1962. Same as this was, Aurora came out. The model kit company, they came out with Universal Monsters. They came out with Frankenstein and Dracula and the Mummy and all that, and the Frankenstein one was selling great, so they thought, well, we'll do our version of the Frankenstein monster, and I guess it just didn't click at the time. It is a weird read, but this is really wild. Oh, well, okay, Giant Man takes on the Hulk. It's by Dick Ayers, inked by Paul Rainman, and his Iron Man go, wee! But Dick Ayers is really inconsistent. He'll do every other issue is really good, and then the others are very, they're just subpar for him. He's done better stuff, but as a monthly guy, he's inconsistent. And now here we go. A little bit later, response to the Hulk appearing in the Avengers and Fantastic Four. What was amazing is that Stan, it's got to be Stan because, or Jack, probably Jack too, they were determined to keep him. They knew he was going to be a great character. He just didn't have the vehicle, and he was out. When he came out early, it was just too much of an oddity. It wasn't quite a monster book, it wasn't a superhero book, but it had a mix of those two. Had they brought the Hulk into the Marvel Universe with the Avengers, like Avengers 1 coming out first, and build up a fan base, then probably the original 6 issues would have gone on longer. But this is great stuff. This is, I love it, I love it, I love it. It is the serialized issues that span, 15, 20 issues or so. Actually, no, excuse me. He had half the book all the way till issue 99, later on with Namor the Submariner. And he got a ton of artists later on. Right now, we're going to start with Steve Ditko. It's kind of, I don't know how this came about. It's such an odd thing that, it's not odd now, but first time I saw this story was in Fireside Books, had a oversized soft cover of The Incredible Hulk, and it had a lot of this stuff and a lot of the previous books that I had told you about. But they didn't have they did not have the covers on them for whatever reason back then. So I just wonder how Stan and Steve discussed this. How did they think to bring the Hulk back? I mean, I guess Stan was thinking, well, we'll split the features and maybe the Hulk will do well then. And Giant Man or Ant-Man before him was done. It was never a big success because they didn't really give him. They didn't give him like a. What is it, like superheroes with super problems, that sort of thing that the college campuses and Esquire magazine called it, and they didn't know what to do with him. So I liked them, but the stories are kind of dull in spots. Some are better. So here we go, right into it. There's a robot that Bruce Banner created, and in the 60s as well as the early 70s, if you were a scientist, you knew everything. You knew biology, you knew robotics, you knew, all kinds of crazy, just science related. You probably knew psychiatry too. So he built a robot, but this is an old story and it's fun. The premise is crazy fun. So, kind of gets the readers caught up on what the Hulk was in his own series way back when. And he's on Gamma Base, and really great stuff. Ditko was looking at Kirby. He wasn't looking to trounce or ignore what Kirby had done before him. So this robot can just go anywhere he goes. But somebody sneaked into it, and hold on. There he is. Little SOB. Banner himself was supposed to test this robot, but he disappeared. This is by chance. No one will suspect who's really inside. So he walks, there goes the dirt. And they try all kinds of explosions. Banner built this ice well. That shell bounced off like a pop gun cork. A weapon of this will make me a weapon for me to sell to a foreign country. I was working so hard on my accent that I just couldn't read 2 things at once. So here comes Hulk. Banner built it. There you go, clang. I love that. Gives him a kick and you go, whoa! I love that pose. And what's great is it still stands. That's such a great Kirby type panel. And again, Steve still does a lot of his own stuff. When the Marvel Superhero Comics, when the Marvel Comics cartoon series came out in 1966, there was Hulk, Captain America, Submariner, Thor, and Iron Man. So, but the animation was pretty horrible. It was kind of a little step above Clutch Cargo, where there would be a figure and then they would move one arm. It's like this arm might go up and down, like just to show that he's threatening. And what's cool though is with Ditko's art, it really made for good animation. Like when in Thor you had. in Thor cartoon, you had Kirby fighting all these other characters in Asgard, and all they could do was shake the panel. But this one here, they could move these hands up and down, and I'm sure Steve wasn't thrilled about that because 66 was about the time he left. And Yeah, 10 pagers. So that's your introduction to the Hulk. I can talk so well today. This one issue here, Steve Ditko actually did the Giant Man half because I think they were changing artists, and it's a really good story. It's something like if he'd stayed on the book, he could have made it into something. Captured at last. Wow. I love that. The whole design is so cute. Here's Major Talbot making his moves on Betty, saying Banner is a spy. Nobody knows Banner's secret identity as a Hulk until issue 70-something of when Rick Jones gives up the identity. Tales to Astonish. And I can't remember what the reasoning was. It was under dire circumstances. So, whee! I mean, this was the animation for this episode was so cool. Well, the Ditko issues, actually. But, Ditko didn't get paid for it. Excellent image there. Whoa, why am I all washed out? Come on. Huh. That's odd. Whoa, okay. I knocked everything back to normal. Jumps on the other side. Knocks this guy into the bottomless pit, it's called, but, Now, here's my idea. I always thought for years it'd be cool if somebody discovered that armor, or that, and, of course the guy inside would be all bones, and, there would, but just, I don't know why. I think it would be a fun little one-off. These pages are thick. So, they get the Hulk in chains. Not quite chains. And he's wondering if he'll change back to Bruce Banner. So Ditko's providing a lot of nice, that's cool, a lot of nice cliffhangers. And this goes on and on. It's inked by George Roussis, who also, he's named George Bell for some reason. He was a production guy. And I don't know why. Maybe he didn't want, maybe since he worked for Marvel as a colorist, maybe he didn't want to moonlight and affect his paycheck. Something like that. That's my guess. Whereas later on, you could do freelancing and production work. So Hulk's right there. Hulk takes orders from no one. If you agree to take orders from me, I can set you free. So, and you are my enemy. I'll be free by myself. And when I do, no, you can't. You need my help. But wait, this isn't safe to talk this way. And there goes Bruce Banner sneaking out of his bonds. There's Rick Jones. And neat stuff. A patrol coming. They must have changed me again. Rocket sled. I'm wondering, it looks like Kirby actually referenced himself, because in issue Fantastic Four 12, where the Hulk shows up, there was a rocket sled kind of like this that the Thing was trying out. So, that's beautiful. George Bell's not the ideal inker, but Ditko probably penciled it so tight. When Ditko did Spider-Man or Doctor Strange, he did his stuff really loose, did most of the rendering in the inks format. And we have Lida. Ah, man. That is such a crazy, crazy pinup. I can't imagine anybody back then seeing that and being affected, like stunned, excited, scared. It just looks so unholy. I mean, comics in this era did not look like that. They just didn't. And they provide the letters pages, which is pretty sweet. And, here's the leader. I did this on the other episode where I was going to say, did Jack Kirby create this character or not? And he gets blasted. It becomes something more than human. And these cute little humanoids, pink with polka dots. Comes down. I love that. He's kind of swinging down like a Blue Beetle. Although this is before Blue Beetle, the new one, or the Ted Kord one. Boom. So he's powerful, but he's also spongy. You can't quite hold him down. This is kind of silly here, but that's okay. He's about to hit that bridge, and he uses incredible muscles to flip over and avoid the bridge. But hey, it's the middle of the 60s. Who cares? I shouldn't say papa pow. Once you're over the age of 11, you should never say papa pow. Another beautiful cover. And Banner gets some tranquilizers. Try and prevent himself from being the Hulk. So he's a bit tranked out. Hold on, I'm getting too excited. Glenn Talbot is accusing him of being a traitor and being in with the Hulk. And, oh, I'm getting too excited. So here comes a horde of humanoids. And that's a great idea, because you have this guy who's like the strongest person on Earth. Who would you fight him with? You know, and these characters are just perfect. Man, that's sweet. That is sweet. And yeah, he's just, he throws a boulder, bounces back, and that's kind of ingenious. And what happens is he's fighting, but back then, whether he gets too excited or not excited, he will change back to Banner. It's kind of unpredictable, which made for a really good, this is a serial. Dick Ayers, it's okay. He gets rescued by the communists, and they're going to hold him for ransom and work for them. So just don't hold your breath. So they put him in this tiny cell. He goes, wait a minute, of course, the Hulk. That's the answer. Dr. Banner isn't the chance, but the Hulk might be able to break out of here. Lovely. Loverly. And also, if you ever see this cartoon, the voices and the sound effects in the narration are just top notch. Top notch. So he's getting kind of lame villains too. Vinnie Coletta doing this and butchers it pretty bad. It's just, wow, that panel there where he's kicking, none can hide from Hulk. God, that's awful. It sucks. It sucks on Melba toast. Here he goes. Do 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 do. The chameleon, who was Spider-Man's foe. I love the idea that, you know, both characters created by Ditko, and someone who's sort of out in the superhero world as opposed to the Southwest area where the Hulk is known to be. Let's see. Yeah, this is crazy stuff. And again, the musculature and the way the arms are made it incredibly easy for them to animate. At least the Ditko issues. The Kirby issues, not so much. Frank Ray, a.k.a. Frank Giacoya. I'm always singing his praises. And this character is really awful. But this is a classic image. It's been used on posters. It was used on T-shirts in the 60s and other places. But it's real interesting because Frank Giacoya has such a sharp, crisp line, much like John Romita. So, you know, much as I bellyached about Vince Coletta, I think some of the Frank Giacoya, it's strong, but it does kind of take away from the Ditko stuff. I love that. Just rips that off the tank. Oh, and that is such a Giacoya panel. It reminds me very much of the later issues where Maurice Severin would do the Hulk and he would ink. And it is great, but it's just odd, you know. Wow. I like that. In the cartoon, they show his body going up, and then you see his figure going down, down, down. Boom. I love how he swats these things. And is the next issue? Hulk must get home, but he doesn't know where home is. He ends up somewhere, some I don't know what it is, some Banana Republic type place that they're going to try and get him for ransom because he's a scientist, and Glenn Talbot actually goes to get him, and the only reason why is General Ross wants Banner back to either have him stand trial for being a traitor, or continue his work. But there goes the ledge they were standing on. But here we go. Whoa! Holy moly! Inking by Ricky DeMeo, who is Mike Esposito's pseudonym at the time. He was doing Wonder Woman, I think, with Ross Andrew, and I think the Metal Man as well, so he definitely needed like a pseudonym, so DC didn't find out. But, you know, when you get to the Kirby stuff, the animation figures are no longer really there, but it's so powerful. It's such a weird transition, too. I love that image. Never get tired of that either. I love the color red in the foreground. It's just so audacious, and it's good storytelling. He's got to stop hounding me. Starting to turn green. And he manages to take a tranquilizer thanks to Rick Jones. Get me out of here fast. I feel the change coming on. No, quick, take a tranquilizer before the doc comes. So they land on Astra Isle and all these little pink stuff, bubblegum type stuff, like Razzles. First it's a candy, and then it's a humanoid. So, lordy loo. That's some delicious artwork. This was used, I don't know when, but I've seen that used several times in other stories. And you got what's great is this cover. I mean, think about it. When it's the mid '60s, you got Charlton Comics, you got Dell Comics, you got DC Comics, you got a whole bunch. And even if some of them are dull, like The Fly, which came out briefly from, I think it was it Charlton? No, it was some other company. They were competent. Some were great, but some were just deadly dull, but they were professional looking. Like they had the clean look to it. And growing up, I mean, I wish I was younger to experience this. This is so, to the untrained eye, freakish and ugly. When later in the 60s, DC saw that Marvel was catching up to him, and he decided the reason was ugly art was selling it, and pretty wacky. So those humanoids are just wacky. Now, at the same time, this image here was used in Avengers number 17 or 18, I think. What happened was the original team of Iron Man, Giant Man, Wasp, Thor, and Captain America, they were going to take a break and almost break up. But Hawkeye came aboard. He showed off, and he wanted to be an Avenger. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch showed up, so the other ones, who are much more powerful, said, take over for us, okay. And a lot of people dropped the book after that. I didn't really mind it, because I was just a big Marvel Silver Age guy, and first time I really ran into the Avengers was the reprint of issue 27, where it was just Cap, Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch, just the four of them. And later on, like in Avengers 150 or something, Steve Englehart called them Cap's Kooky Quartet. So what happened is, to try and boost the sales with these new characters that had no home, they had I think it was the next issue, they searched for the Hulk, and they had this image of the Hulk in shadow, or like a ghost appearance. And they used several of these panels to kind of tease the reader, but nothing ever came of it. Like, wowzer. Gil Kane used this image later. Gil Kane did some swipes but this is late 60s, and that's because he was getting familiar with the Hulk. But reader must not get Absorbatron. Like this kind of stuff showed up. Wow. Yeah, baby. So, gentlemen, the traitor is dead. First issue with Prince Namor, the Submariner. I really was not a fan of his, but now I'm definitely a fan. I feel like he's a character that was most tied into his creator, Bill Everett. It's like Jack Cole and Plastic Man, Will Eisner, the Spirit, and Bill Everett on Submariner. Because the stuff I'd seen in the 70s, the mid to late 70s of Namor, they really made him a jerk. And I found him really unappealing. Oh, that's lovely. Change him back to the Hulk. How did Rick get him away? The leader escaped the place and destroyed. Wait a minute. I'm sure you're wondering too. Okay. Let's see. Something happened, but Banner's body is gone. And Rick Jones is rescued. But however, they're right there saying the traitor's dead. I guess they went in the other room and just left him there. It's really slipshod military work there, because a teenager managed to squirrel away his pal Dr. Banner. Big old foot. He's like, I have Banner's brain. Giant humanoid, big old humanoid. Years later, Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema brought back the humanoids, and back then even, up in that future issue, which was late 70s, early 80s, you had the humanoids, and you had the leader, and you had Hulk with Bruce Banner's brain. So that's kind of cool. So stomping on those things, and had a cough button there. Even though it's layouts, it's like there's panels where you could see Kirby was like, I have to do the full pencil because otherwise the inker finisher will be confused. Or he felt like he likes drawing military stuff, like very sci-fi and way ahead of its time. So, and you see, nice Kirby layouts, but the art's kind of meh. Just because, so he breathes life back into Rick Jones, who got hurt, and I just don't like the finish. He's almost too handsome, and he's not. He's starting to get an attitude. He's kind of going back into being the Hulk, and the face really turns me off. Hulk. That's what they used for the opening of the cartoon. So it just looks, I don't know what, very unsatisfying. But story-wise, it's great. So that's not the great cover. Coletta butchered. When he ever did Gene Colan, it was horrible. It was horrible. Just took all the nuance and shadows away. So, I gotta go a little faster because this is gonna be a 3-hour video. I won't let myself change. If I change, I die. Ooh, I gotta clip this coupon out. And that's another really odd page, but I covered it. I like it though. But Bob Powell is the finisher, and he briefly flirted with Marvel. He did issue 2 of Daredevil that Wally Wood inked right before Wally Wood left, around issue 11 or so. It's so weird. Whee! And there's our pal, the Watcher. It's an alien from another world. What's neat again, Bill Mantlo, baby, boisterous Bill Mantlo brought this character back in issue 269. It was they were called the Hulk Killers, and it was him, Abomination, one of my favorites, and the Dark Crawler, who was called Nightcrawler. He had that scepter. Crazy images. I have won. That's good storytelling there. The leader puts on this helmet that knowledge of the known universe that he stole from the Watcher, but he's like, it's too much, no more. It overwhelms his human brain. He's dead. That's a classic cover. I love that. I like the sort of brownish color around there. And like I said, the layouts are fantastic. the actual finished art is very, very pedestrian. But the story kept going on. They just kept. I loved the serialized story, and it wouldn't fly today because people don't like anthologies. They don't like split books. They want because they may not like one of the two features, so it doesn't sell. But it's a shame because some books, like Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., that was great in Tales. Was it? Oh, Strange Tales. But then when it became a monthly book, you had like 3 issues of Steranko, 3 or 4, and then he left, and then the book petered out a year later. So, because if he had stayed on a split book, he probably could have kept doing Nick Fury. So, Scott Edward, that is a name Gil Kane used as a pseudonym. He was busy doing Green Lantern and I think Atom and stuff like that. So, Merry-Go-Round, inked by John Romita, baby. That's a great image. It's been reused. And there's Johnny Romita, new kid on the block. He did comics for Stan in the 50s. Then comics took a big nosedive thanks to that horrible monster, Frederick Wortham, who I hope is burning in hell, the lowest steps of hell, for destroying the comics industry for a while. Well, comics started coming back, and Stan just said, hey, Johnny, come on over, give it a shot. And he wasn't sure how to do dynamicism because he did a lot of romance comics and cowboy stuff. And so this was one where it's laid out just like the early issues of Daredevil. I think issue 12 through 15 was laid out by John Romita. So, really beautiful stuff. Really. Although, the layouts are awesome. It's the Romita's kind of taken over on that. So, but this book was like the farm team for all these people, new and old. Bill Everett, baby, who wasn't doing he wasn't doing the Submariner half of the book. He was doing the Hulk over the layouts of Kirby, and it's really freaky looking. He looks, it's good stuff. I definitely love it, but and also you get that patented swirly stuff that it was gas, but for many years anytime Everett did his creation of Submariner, he was underwater. You would see those kind of waves going through, and that was always cool. And Everett stayed on for a little while. I first saw this in a Marvel Treasury edition, and for a second I thought that was the old Iron Man. But it has Hercules in it. Really great battle. Really great battle. Kicking ass. Taking names. Bill Everett's still there. And the Hulk's sort of in an arena again, kind of like issue 5, I think, with Tyrannus, who does show up here. And it's pretty clever because Tyrannus and... hang on. So, Hulk turns back into Banner, and glasses show up. But, who cares? It's all about the ride, baby. There's Boomerang, who only had one boomerang. All the other stuff he had were these little discs. And I always thought, why is he called Boomerang? I didn't get it. Battle Cry Boomerang. More Everett goodness. So yeah, this guy Boomerang, he uses these little discs and all kinds of stuff like that. And I was like, why is he called Boomerang? Well, there's one there, but he uses those discs much more. Look at that brown, a little bit of brown. If it's brown, get down. Yeah, baby. How many times have I said, yeah, baby? Is this like a drinking game that I created? Rampage's City. Now get this. Art. Almost a whole blame bullpen. It's cool because I try to spot some of the artists and I am confounded by some of them. It doesn't say Jack Kirby. It would probably say Jack Kirby. I don't know. That's a real awkward pose. And now that's got to be Bill Everett, maybe. Ooh. But I mean, I'd never seen something like this. That's definitely George Tuska there. Yeah, he's from Tuscaloosa. And there's a slight crossover where they take an image of Prince Namor, who has this little scene in his side of the book. Makes no sense. But it had to get out. The book had to get out. But yeah, I was confounded by some free to do what? Do. The Missile and the Monster. Now we got John Buscema, Big John, coming back. Barrel-chested. He probably looked in the mirror for reference, because that's he was a big, strong guy. So he came on the book for a few issues. I had some of the books, reprint books that had this, and look at that. It's just really, really cool. Inked by Esposito. Got himself another. Let's see. Is this another? I guess this is. Let me see. Oh, humanoids. Okay, he's just different though. He doesn't have like a a big jar over his head. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. The Hulk and the Humanoid. That's a Gil Kane cover there. And John Buscema. Man, it was so cool. And he only stayed on a few issues for the very reason that most of it, like John Romita did. Oh, okay, here we go. Gil Kane. Did I miss something here? Oh well. Gil Kane, penciling and inking himself. He was busy. It's interesting that he used his real name, whereas a year prior he was Scott Edward, and it's very Gil Kane. He was doing Hawk and Dove. He did Green Lantern for many, many years. He did the Atom. So he seems to pick up on the Kirby-esque stuff without having a layout by Kirby. So, man, it's just that's such an odd, creepy face. A silent panel, how about that? A Silver Age book. And here comes that jerk-off Boomerang again. Throwing discs. Not Discman. And he could have been called Discman because the Discman didn't come out until 1988 or something by, I don't know which company. Kind of listen to compact discs on. Okay. Turn back to Bruce. I could have saved him. It's debatable. Then there shall come a stranger. You've got the eyes of a stranger. I think that's his first appearance, maybe. I hate the stranger. Hate him, hate him, hate him. With the blazing hatred of 1,000 suns. There we go. The Abomination. Now, the Abomination was designed by Gil Kane. I did this on my previous episode. Oh my god, I love that design. Sometimes they try to update it, and I hate, like, the Abomination in the Hulk movie in 2008. He looked nothing like that. Why not give him some, bat wing ears and the lump and all that? He just ended up looking like the lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man #2 movie. Now that's a Kirby swipe, but he's using it to his advantage. He's just trying to get in tune with what the others are saying, and he beat the tar out of the Hulk. Whosoever harms the Hulk. I remember that earlier panel I showed you. He was pushing the humanoids aside, so that was an influence on that. That was an influence from when the Hulk was captured by the leader. So, you are seeing some swipes, but this is heavy. I told you it was heavy. And, then later on, here it comes. Here we go, baby. Look at that. Man, he's totally got the Kirby feel. Totally. But however, that was it for now. Because then came Mirthful Marie, or Magnificent Marie Severin, inked by Frank Giacoia. I mentioned this on the previous episode where I discussed It, which was a Theodore Sturgeon book that was adapted into Supernatural Thrillers #1. So this, I tell you what, when she took over the Hulk, it just seemed right. And the Silver Surfer, first non-Fantastic Four appearance, I believe. I had this issue. It was Marvel Superheroes around 1974, and wowzer, I just, it's such a great read. The Hulk wants Silver Surfer to take him out off the planet Earth into the stars. So, wow. He's trying to change him back to Bruce Banner, but he's like, hey, I can't fight, so back up. He thought he was going to kill him, and he waves to the stars above. Really, really touching. So, it's such an awkward look. It looks like a toy. Marie Severin does her thing. Brings back from the Kirby books. It's probably a Stan thing, where the High Evolutionary. Go, 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 Hulk! Picture him dancing. Go into a go, go, everybody. Man, I sing good. That's amazing there. And Herb Trimpe is inking her now. And as I mentioned in previous episodes, a lot of times an inker would take over as penciler. So that was always kind of interesting how they worked that out. Sometimes it was, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The Living Lightning. Love this character. And what was cool is they were kind of like Hydra, but something different. I can't remember what it is. It's some kind of cadre, kind of like the Secret Society or something like that. But years later, like 1988 or 89, Roy Thomas created a character called Living Lightning, who was a Latino who lived in California, where West Coast Avengers were based, and he had lightning powers. And he was really cool, and he was like the son of the big guy there, but he didn't share his hatred of humanity. Hulk in you, next issue. I always read really dumb. So I continue. Hulk in you. I don't think I have enough Hulk in me. I take some Hulk in you. Oh-ha. Monochromatic covers. Never get tired. So Hulk is going to cause all kinds of problems at the missile base. Oh my goodness me. Yeah, Marie's just fantastic. And there's Thunderbolt Ross doing his Jonah Jameson, where you blow your head, every 2 minutes. So, Betty Ross is with the Hulk, and look at that! Wow, John Tartaglione is inking this now. He's also known as John Tartag, but John Tartaglione inked about a year or two of Daredevil over Gene Colan, and he has a bold style, and I really like it. He also inked a couple of Sal Buscema Captain Americas around, 224, 226, and changes back to Banner, and Talbot to the rescue. He zaps these guys, gets them free. Satisfied, Banner? You're the one responsible. No, you can't blame Bruce for all the Hulk's deeds. Well, they change him back to the Hulk. It's like, if it works, it'll change me back to the Hulk instantly. It must work. Only the Hulk can reach those missiles in time. But how do we know the Hulk won't attack us? You can always say, I told you so. Now stand back, Major. General, I won't forget that you trusted me. I'm not looking for gratitude, mister. Just smash those missiles. Then throw the switch. Or Lightning Lord lied to Hulk. He'll never lie to anybody again. I'll fix his ass. So he shows up. Oh my gosh. I love this second panel. He kind of swaggers in. Dun-dun-dun, like there's a soundtrack playing. And he's wrecking the joint. But he hits an atomic pile. Another wordless panel that is so cool. I'd love to see this in a black light poster. I have a couple of them, but I've seen them, but that would just be so hideous. The end. That image is just from issue 1 cover, and they just added some finished details. And I did an episode on this being like one of the best action issues ever, where they fight in Miami of all places. I first read this in the Marvel Treasury edition of the Hulk, and it was just so exciting. They go into a pool, all kinds of stuff going on. And here we go, baby. Wow. Mind blown. I love this one panel here. He's like, approach me, bestial one. And it's kind of like, it was a joke somebody said about Aquaman saying, you want, I picture him fighting, say, oh, you want to fight? Well, come in and see. I'll wait here for you. That was kind of a dumb joke, because I misphrased it. That panel there, he looks like Dick Van Dyke for some reason. She's back to banner. Now, last issue where they share a book. Frank Giacoy comes back to ink. And wowzer. Woofa. Double lighting. Really, really cool stuff. The Hulk in his own bag at last. There he is. Big premiere issue. It didn't start with issue 1 because a lot of the books, number 1 issues were not the big draw back then. Oddly enough, the newsstand and drugstores and all these other people, if they saw a number 1 book, they would be kind of flinch at, is it going to sell or not? But if a book continues the numbering, then they'll think, oh, this book's been out for a while, it's safe. And isn't that crazy? But on the other hand, Submariner had a number 1. You got George Tuska inking Marie Severin. That is a spectacular angle. Really, really cool stuff. And so there's a bit of the, filling in the new readers. Whoa. These pages are so thick. Well, he gets sent away by Big Daddy Schmoden. But I'm going so fast. Where? To be Hulk-inued. I hate that phrase. They use it for a long time. The Space Parasite. And let me see. Got some original art here. But I love the episodic nature of these books. Just so many twists and turns. And the Collector Item Classics. I loved this book when I was a kid. I was too late to get them, but I would buy them in back issues. That's the issue I had. It came out in early 74. And there's biographies, and that's it. But a couple of new covers once in a while. So that's it. I just wanted to share with you how cool the Hulk's, how his, squeak, 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 sorry gang, how cool the serialization of his book was. So, hey, leave your comments below. Tell me if you first discovered them in Marvel superheroes like I did, and which issue, and who was your, when you were a kid. Let's exclude Jack Kirby only because he is the king, and talk about anybody else that you may think was the best Hulk artist or Hulk team on this book. And also tell me if you got any advice, or if I screwed up anything, please let me know. I welcome all comments, even if they're contrarian. Not contrarian, but contrary. And that's about it. So I'm so glad I finally got to this, because it's, here we're going on 50 minutes. So anyway, that's about it. And I wish you well, and talk to you all later.